Good evening, sir.
Good
So
evening.
we are talking about your very good book, The
Uh,
Revolutionaries Shed Their Blood for India's Independence, Part 1,
Hanji. Hi.
Action. And under this series, now we are coming to the next topic, which is Delhi Conspiracy Case 1912.
Yeah, that's right.
So could you give us a brief outline of this Delhi Conspiracy Case?
Briefly, it is like this that the British had their head office at Calcutta earlier. So therefore, they were troubled much by the revolutionary patriots. They thought of shifting the capital from Calcutta to
Mhm.
Delhi. It was ultimately they decided that December
Mhm.
23, 1912, 1912, they would bring out a big procession in Chandigarh in Chandni Chowk. Uh, Lord Harding sitting on the
Mhm.
elephant. Now, this was too much for the revolutionary patriots to bear it. So, yeah, uh, Rash Bihari Bose, he was a Bengali patriot, of course, but he was born in 1886. But in spite of his father asking him for further studies, he did not go to the college. He went to Dehradun to uh, to incite the army units to go against the British government. But he couldn't succeed. Ultimately, he joined as a joint junior officer in forest department. But he continued his revolutionary activities. When he learned that Lord Harding is taking a elephant procession in Chandni Chowk, he reached back Delhi and conspired with the Master Amir Chand, Avadh Bihari Bose, Bal Makand. They were the revolutionary patriots in Delhi itself. Then they planned that we will not allow this procession like that. We will convert it into a procession of dead body. So they threw a
Okay.
bomb. They threw a
Mhm.
bomb on Lord Harding. At
Acha.
one moment, it was decided. It was felt as if Lord Harding has died, but Lord Harding was saved. The Mahavat of the elephant. He died, and one other officer died. Rash Bihari Bose is a singular revolutionary who was never caught by the British people throughout his revolutionary activities. Immediately he rushed to Dehradun and made a speech that look at the revolutionary bad people, they are hurling bombs on Lord Harding. He criticized, made a very speech, different speech criticizing the revolutionaries, and he offered to the British government that he can help them to find out the truth. So he traveled at government country when
Mhm.
in search of those people who had uh, planned the bomb attack. So ultimately, when Rash Bihari Bose felt that now the government is doubting his activities, he disappeared from the scene. So this is how the case was registered, in which a number of patriots were uh, tried and tried and deaths and awarded death sentence. The Awadh Bihari was such a great patriot, he said while going to the gallows, एहसान ना खुदा का उठाए मेरी बला किश्ती खुदा पे छोड़ दी लंगर को तोड़ दूं. Means I'm not going to pray before anybody. I have opened I believe in God and opened the anchor of my boat in the vast sea. So this is how the Delhi conspiracy case came place, and the revolutionary were sentenced to death by the British Empire.
So at that time, the revolution passion was so strong that he came back to Delhi and tried to kill the Lord Harding and
Governor General.
Governor General. And they also wanted to create fear in the minds of Britishers that
Yes,
if you don't leave here, then we
uh,
will not pardon you and we will take revenge.
that is right. They
Uh,
knew that they are going to die, but they never
uh,
cared for their deaths.
and it was selfless sacrifice.
Especially
Britishers
for
were looting. Britishers
uh,
were terrifying us for looting us, while
looting
the
us.
revolutionaries, while the revolutionaries were terrorizing Britishers
Uh,
for protecting the innocent Indian citizens.
that is right.
Yeah,
And to
and
secure independence for us.
for secure independence. Of course, they wanted to drive them out so that if they leave, then the democracy will be established in India.
That is right.
And how come there were princely states also? So why some king was not installed after driving out these Britishers from India? Why democracy came to India?
The princely states were small areas. For example, within Punjab, we had a
Mhm.
number of princely states: Patiala, Jind, uh, uh,
Kapurthala, Kapurthala,
Nabha, Nabha,
acha,
Kapurthala, and many others. Even this
Hanji.
new area that was also under princely state of some prince. They were Muslim prince, and was the player who used to play with the one eye, or he was a son of a Nawab of that area.
Hmm. So since there were so many princely states, so it was not possible to install a single king for the whole of India.
No, no, they were virtually also subordinate to the British people.
Okay, okay.
They were depending everything on British. Supposing they wanted to correspond with one prince to another prince, it was through the British only.
Hmm.
If the particular, supposing there is no wheat in particular area, he wanted to have the wheat from the other princely state, it was through the British government. They were small fries. They were ruling in their own area only, and
Hanji.
that too subject to the British consent.
Consent.
Hmm.
And the next important figure is Lala Hardyal.
Lala
What
Hardayal.
was what was his contribution
He,
in this
he
freedom
was
struggle?
a he was a rare wonder of Indian revolutionary movement. He is also one of those who was once arrested, then bailed, then he went out. When he wanted to come to India, he died.
Hmm.
So therefore, he was virtually not punished by the British India, but he had played a very big role in the revolutionary activity. For example, he was such a brainy man that uh, he could play chess, count the ringing of a bell, repeat verses in Arabic, and complete a problem in arithmetic simultaneously. All these things he could do together at one time. Once he took a book from the librarian told him that this book is not meant for you, it is for elderly people. On the third day, Lala Hardyal, went there to the library to return the book. The librarian told that, look, I told you on that day, this book is not meant for you. This book is meant for elder people. Lala Hardyal told, I have read the whole book. You ask from backside of the book which page I should repeat. Librarian was हक्का बक्का कि ये क्या हो गया ये.
Hmm.
So he was born in 1884.
Acha.
So he did his high school in Delhi. He was son of a reader to the session judge, and his wife was also the daughter of a magistrate or something. And then he had gone to, he applied for a scholarship. He applied for scholarship. The British government asked, what should be the administrative policy for success? Lala Hardyal to reply to all the British interviewers that divide and rule, this is what we have learned from you.
Okay.
And the British officers were at one time they were annoyed, but looking at the brilliance of Lala Hardyal, they allowed him to go. Then ultimately he reached London. He also met Shyamji Krishna Verma. They, uh, when he was studying in Lahore, uh, there was a Christian Students Association.
Hmm.
So they thought that we should have an Indian Student Association. Then they decided who should preside over. The idea came that it should be presided over by Professor Iqbal, who was a great shair. So he said there is only 2 hours left, and who should go there? Lala Hardyal was the beloved student of Professor Iqbal. They all decided that Lala Hardyal should be sent. Hardyal reached there to invite him. Professor Iqbal told him, it is a 1 hour left now. You should have informed me earlier. We said, sir, sorry for the, but we have just decided to decide it. So he came there and then he sang the song, Sare Jahan Se Acha Ye Hindustan Hamara. So much credit must go to Lala Hardyal for getting Professor Iqbal to sing a song like this. Sare jahan se acha Hindustan hamara. So ultimately, the major role which Lala Hardyal played was that he reached America. America, he met there uh, Son Singh Pakna and so many other Punjabi people who had settled in the west of America, touching Canada, and some were settled in Canada, nearing part of America. Ultimately, they were virtually bothered by the people there also, and sometimes by the government. But then they decided that we should not, we are maltreated because we are a regent of a slave country. They constitute, organize an association, and then they opened Gurdwara also where they used to meet and discuss their problems. Ultimately, when in March 1913, Lala Hardyal, accompanied by Bhai Parmanand, reached that site. So there he met Punjabis. They said that we are bubbling with the Josh for fighting for the independence. We need only the guide. So ultimately, the elections were taken place immediately. As a result, Lala Hardyal was elected as General Secretary and Son Singh Pakna as President of the, and party's name was fixed as Gadar. So this we will discuss in the next chapter. It was the first publication of Gadar Weekly was started in November, from 1st November 1913. and it was widely circulated to all Indians settled anywhere in any other country except India. So much simple stories and poems. They were so inspiring that within 6 months they made the British government realize that this man must be caught, otherwise we will be in danger. They prevailed over America to get a case registered against Lala Hardyal. A case was registered in March and he was arrested. Ultimately, he was released on bail on April 14, 1914, and thereafter he went to Paris and Sweden and ultimately settled in Sweden. So when he remained outside, he didn't come to America also, didn't come to England because he was afraid that he would be arrested ultimately when he sought permission that he will not be tortured. He he was to reach India, say in April 99, but he died in USA on March 4, 1939. And before dying, he had made a statement that we must realize that patriotism is the root of all national progress and freedom. This was the last message given by Lala Hatya. So he generated heat in the Punjabis, and Punjabis don't need anything else except the heat, which may strike the head of British government.
Acha, at that time, were all people living in India, were they
Ah,
considered as British citizens?
you say anything, I have not studied from that angle, but otherwise they were free to go to England as they were in a British colony.
Okay.
Not British Nagrik, civil Nagrik, but they, since they were regent of British colony, therefore they could go there.
And settle also over there.
Settle also, many settled.
So that means it was as if they were British citizens. Everybody was a British citizen.
British citizen, when they settled, possibly then he could be a British citizen, not if he comes and goes, he becomes a British citizen. British citizen gives so many rights which the people of India didn't have.
Yes, that is the important point because
Huh,
why people Indian citizens settled abroad
huh.
like USA or France or other countries, they were citizen over there. Why they were interested in India's independence?
Because their problems in America were not heard by anybody. For example,
Mhm.
if a Japan citizen was there and if he faced any problem, he would lodge a complaint with the Japan agency, embassy. The Japan embassy would take up the matter with the government and the problem of a Japanese would be sorted out. Now, in this case, Indians settled in America or Canada took up the matter with the British government's embassy, but they didn't care for it. They
Hmm.
didn't have any Indian embassy because India was not an independent country. That is why they wanted that till we get independent, we will
Uh-huh.
not get any right.
That is a very important or valid point. Yes.
Huh.
Right, sir. Right. Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for today's session. Thank
Thank you, Pradeep ji.
you.
Thank